Jaxson Dart and Tyler Warren are two of the biggest winners from the NFL preseason. We'll tell you why next.
You are Locked On Dynasty Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. He is Michael Fabiano. And on today's show, we're going to talk about the biggest winners from the preseason. We'll dive into that Cleveland Browns quarterback situation and all the fallout there. Plus, we'll take a look at some backfields that we are fascinated by. But Fabs, let's talk about some guys that coming out of the preseason we're really excited about. And I kind of think we have to start with Jaxson Dart.
He was great in the preseason. He was a guy, anytime that a quarterback comes out of college and is at least somewhat highly touted, he has a big arm and he can run. That is going to, pique my interest. There's no doubt about that. And I know that Russell Wilson will be the starting quarterback for the Giants in week 1. I don't know if he'll be the starting quarterback of the Giants in week 8. At some point, if the Giants are not doing well and Wilson's playing mediocre, the fans are going to want Dart. And I think he's going to play. He has got big time potential, not only in terms of real football, from a fantasy perspective. Imagine Jaxson Dart and Malik Neighbors. Like, we could be talking about one of the best young up and coming stacks in fantasy football. When you talk about Dart to Neighbors, and the Giants may not be a good team this season, but from a fantasy standpoint, there are certainly some players that can help you. Malik Neighbors being number 1, but at some point during the season, Jaxson Dart could be on that list. So I was in a rookie-only draft this past weekend, and Dart went 5th overall. It was a super flex league, but he went ahead of every wide receiver. The only players that went ahead of him were obviously Cam Ward and the top running back. So you're talking about Ashton Genty, you're talking about Amarian Hampton, everybody else. And actually, I believe Tyler Warren went ahead of him too, because this is a tight end premium. Jaxson Dart's value is rising.
So that feels a little aggressive for me, just a little bit. But we're talking about somebody who, like back in May and June, was being drafted at the back end of round 1 in these Superflex rookie drafts. So I've got no problem with the ADP going up. And honestly, Fabs, like for me, I didn't love Jaxson Dart as a prospect. I thought the numbers overall were pretty good, but he plays in this wide open offense at Ole Miss. And we've seen a bunch of these Lane Kiffin quarterbacks come in before and really struggle to read the field. And again, I don't want to overreact too much based on what we've seen in 3 preseason games, because again, we've seen guys like, Kenny Pickett light up the preseason. Remember when everybody was really excited about Kenny Pickett?
Oh, I do.
He had the perfect passer rating in preseason, and then it doesn't result to anything. I think for me, it's just how he was winning. He was throwing the ball down the field. He was making plays outside the pocket. And there just seemed to be, and this is, I know, bad analysis, but some energy with him on the field that the other quarterbacks don't have. And sometimes that's all you need, right? And I think you saw that last year with like Jaden Daniels in Washington. Like as soon as that guy stepped on the field, everything changed. Obviously not predicting Dart to be Daniels, but you know what I mean. He was somebody that I was not drafting at all this summer, but now I kind of want to go out and get him, because I do think whether it's week 4, week 6, week 10, I think he's going to be someone we want on our fantasy teams.
Yeah, certainly. The upside is there. And listen, it's really hard for a rookie quarterback to come out and make like this massive impact like a Jaden Daniels last year or a Bo Nix, but it's certainly not impossible.
Yeah.
And once the Giants run through the Russell Wilson era, which again may last fewer than 8 weeks, Dart's going to be under there. Unless the Giants are playing really well and Wilson's playing well, then maybe you don't see Dart as soon as I might project.
Well,
but
we already saw Dable kind of mention that like they think Dart's going to be QB2 to open the season, and that's kind of that's changed from what they said in the offseason. It was going to be Winston this whole time. Kind of just show you like things are progressing pretty fast here.
And there's even been some rumors and reports, and I mean, I don't believe hardly anything on social media unless I know exactly who it's coming from, that maybe Winston would be on the trade block. And that would be a great decision, not only for the Giants, but from a fantasy football
Yes, for
perspective.
us.
Let's get Jameis Winston in New Orleans or somewhere where a team, needs a quarterback. That would be phenomenal. And it would help the value of a lot of players. We have a couple of those situations. I mean, Kirk Cousins is going to be basically worthless in Atlanta. I'd like to see him go someplace, but unfortunately that's just not going to happen. But the bottom line here is that Jaxson is no longer a dart throw.
Nice.
He is a guy that you're targeting in your drafts. Yeah, that was a really bad joke.
You're already on fire. I want to give another player that I'm coming out of the preseason just absolutely loving, and there was a lot. So Tyler Warren, we both really liked pre-draft. We liked him after the draft. We liked the fit with the Colts. He was being drafted already inside the top 5 tight end, so nothing really changed too much there. His ADP right now in Dynasty League football is tight end 4, 55th overall. But I'm just opening up a little bit more of the possibilities that he could be like an awesome tight end for fantasy right away. And usually we always like to talk about history here. It takes a while for these tight ends, rookie tight ends, to produce. Now, we have had Brock Bowers, who had the best rookie season of all time. We had Sam Laporta, who had a big monster rookie season. But I think with the combination of Daniel Jones and how Shane Steichen, how they're going to use Tyler Warren, I won't be shocked by anything. Like, I'm really, really excited about Tyler Warren based on what we've seen in the preseason.
The second he got drafted by the Colts, I started saying that he was going to be the best fantasy tight end there since Dallas Clark. And I am not going back on that at all. In fact, I may be accelerating that point. I think he can be a top 5, top 10 fantasy tight end for the the entirety of his career in the NFL. He's a great pass catcher. He can get you a few points out of the backfield. He is a guy that doesn't need to come off the gridiron. He's that good. And you look at Bowers and you look at Laporta, and certainly the bar has been raised when it comes to rookie tight ends, because we never used to target them. And now, listen, if he finished in the top 10 this year, would I be surprised? No, not at all.
I won't be surprised if he finishes inside the top 5. Like, that's how much I like him this year.
He is a very good, well-rounded player, a very likable player, a guy you want to root for. He's got all that great hair. He's got that like metalhead look kind of thing. You know me, I'm a metalhead. But I am a big fan of Tyler Warren. I actually have drafted him in one of my leagues, in one of my rookie only drafts, and I was very, very happy to get him. I think he could be top 5, top 10 for the next several seasons from a fantasy perspective, because of his skill set, because of what's going on in Indianapolis, as you mentioned, with Daniel Jones taking the job, and
certainly the way helps him a lot.
It is a really, really good fit, and it was from the second the Colts called his name in the draft.
Yeah, and it was, for me, it was so obvious, like that first couple snaps that he got with Daniel Jones, where Jones is just catching the snap, throwing it to Tyler Warren. As soon as he turns around and looks for the football in that little Y stick route, like, he's just going to get a ton of targets in this offense, because he fits Daniel Jones and Shane Steichen really well, where I don't think he fits Anthony Richardson, who doesn't really want to take the underneath stuff. He wants to throw the ball down the field. Daniel Jones does not like to get hit, so I think he's going to try to throw the ball quick. Like, it won't shock me if we come out of week 1 and he's got like 11 targets, and it's just, okay, this is what we're expecting every single week, is to him, to get 8, 9 targets. I want Tyler Warren in every single one of my leagues. I love Colston Loveland coming out. I thought he was the better prospect, but right now, from a dynasty perspective, I would much prefer Tyler Warren over Colston Loveland, just because of how they're going to use him.
Yeah, I've always had Warren ranked ahead of Colston Loveland. I always have. And that will not change. No matter if it's redraft, whether it's dynasty, rookie only, whatever it is, I'd rather have Tyler Warren.
All right, let's talk about the Cleveland Browns offense. I was going to say quarterback situation, but there's even more going on in Cleveland outside of just Flacco, Pickett, Shedeur, and Dylan Gabriel. Let's talk about their entire situation next. This episode is brought to you by reshape. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet reshape Ready. reshape Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow, Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes, and effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. If traditional options haven't worked, Rugiet might be the answer. Over 150,000 men have already made the switch. So head over to rugiet.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL to get 15% off today. That is rugiet.com/LockedOnNFL and use promo code LockedOnNFL for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rugiet website for full safety information. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or if you're ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. So take a flyer on the MVP race. Like I think Joe Burrow is going to win it this year. I think he's finally going to crack through. But if you want like a real sleeper, I like Michael Penix in Atlanta. I just think he's going to throw the ball all over the yard. Or you can crown your Super Bowl champ in August. I'm going with the Ravens. I think they finally do it this year. So visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. We have an important request for you guys. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer some questions about our advertising. So go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. And listen up, everyone who completes the survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that is lockedonpodcast.com/survey. And you can also find the link in the show notes to this podcast. We appreciate you guys helping us out. All right, Fabs, let's talk about some things going on with the Browns, because there's a lot, right? We need to start with the quarterback situation. Joe Flacco named the starter. That's not a surprise. Kenny Pickett is currently the backup. They have Dylan Gabriel. They have Shedeur Sanders. Andrew Berry says they're going to keep all 4 quarterbacks. What's going on here? Like, what do we care about from a dynasty perspective?
What I don't understand is how, and I guess I do understand it, but it doesn't make sense. Shedeur Sanders is the only Browns quarterback who's even being drafted, who even has an ADP over at DLF, and he's at 223. Dylan Gabriel is ahead of him. If any Browns quarterback is supposed to be drafted in the Dynasty League, it's Dylan Gabriel. It's not Shedeur Sanders. I don't care what the last name is. And whatever you think about the situation from a fantasy standpoint, Shedeur Sanders has no value right now. None. I mean, if you want to take him in the last round of your startup, okay.
But it's kind of just a roster clogger, because it's going
Right,
to take so much for him to see the field this year.
Yeah, I mean, I had a few rookie onlys over the weekend, and I drafted Dylan Gabriel in one of those in round 3, and Sanders was there. Sanders is not in Cleveland's immediate plans. He may not be in their future plans. He may not play this year. Dylan Gabriel has a way better chance of playing than Shedeur Sanders at this point, and Dylan Gabriel showed a little something. And you guys know, I always say it, guy can run with the ball as a quarterback, it piques my interest at some level. And Gabriel can do that. And they liked him better than Sanders by 2 rounds.
2 rounds.
So
yeah.
I don't understand why Sanders is getting picked and Gabriel's not. Like, guys, you know what? I understand, like, you know the name, but in this case, the name's bigger than the value is. So if you're drafting a Browns quarterback, it should be Dylan Gabriel and not Shedeur Sanders.
And we're not recommending that you draft Dylan Gabriel either, because it really feels like they want Joe Flacco to keep this job as long as possible. They like Kenny Pickett for whatever reason. We're not big Kenny Pickett fans, but they clearly like him. And Dylan Gabriel is the third quarterback. He's probably going to be inactive on game days, and so will Shedeur Sanders. So we can throw out what we think about Shedeur Sanders because it doesn't matter. Like if we thought Shedeur Sanders was a first or second round prospect, it doesn't matter because the league doesn't think so. And the Browns obviously didn't think so. They waited till the 5th round to grab him. They're playing him behind Dylan Gabriel. He doesn't have dynasty value. I don't even really think Dylan Gabriel does either. I think he's got a little bit more, but
I mean, 2026, I would think the Browns are going to hope to be starting Dylan Gabriel because Joe Flacco's on a 1-year deal and he's 100 years old and Kenny Pickett's in a contract year. So if those guys are both gone, then Dylan Gabriel, I mean, Shedeur may be there too next year. I don't know. I don't know what this year brings, but I think Dylan Gabriel could end up being their projected starter in 2026. Like, yeah, this year, no value at all, really. I mean, unless, boy, they get injured like crazy. But I think he does have some, I think he does have some dynasty value because, you know, you're looking forward, and I think you could just stash him and sit and wait, especially obviously in a super flex league.
My big picture thing for the Browns is I think they're going to draft their quarterback next year in the 1st round with one of their 2 first-round picks. They have the other one from Jacksonville.
Yep.
And really, I think Gabriel and Shedeur are competing to be the backup, the primary backup, because Flacco's on a 1-year deal. He's probably not coming back. Pickett's on the last year of his deal. And honestly, I think it's going to be Gabriel because I think he fits like what you want from your backup, like gets rid of the ball quickly, can go through his reads, is pretty accurate. He just reminds me a lot of Case Keenum. And honestly, that's a compliment. Like Case Keenum was a pretty good quarterback for a couple of years where he's not big, but he can get the ball to the playmakers. And that's what you saw in the preseason. Like it's not flashy, but it's on time and in rhythm. I don't think that's a guy that projects as like a high-end starter, but I think he could be a high-end backup. And that's probably all what Cleveland was hoping to get at the later part of the 3rd round.
My analysis may be flawed a little bit because I was thinking that the Browns are a smart team and they're not. Right? I mean, like you draft 2 quarterbacks and then you're going to draft another one the following year in the 1st round. They're a disaster. I feel bad for my pal, the Miz, and all the Browns fans out there because you guys are going to have a really, really rough stretch.
Can we be positive for a second? Because it does feel like they've hit a home run on Harold Fannon Jr., the tight end from Bowling Green. He looks awesome in this preseason. Now, whether he eventually becomes the guy that replaces David Njoku in the starting lineup, it seems like they're going to play both of these guys together. But Harold Fannon just feels a lot like Isaiah Likely did 2 years ago, where it's so clear that he can play. It's just, how do we get this guy in a lineup full time? Because I think he's going to be an awesome player in the NFL.
Did you see his numbers at Bowling Green last year? I mean, they were ridiculous, freaking insane. Okay, but it's Bowling Green. I get it. So, you know, we're not going to get too
crazy. But you watch him against some really good schools put up some big time numbers. He's a good player.
And Njoku is in a contract year, if memory serves me. So that means that if the Browns decide that they're going to move on and let the Chief walk, well, they got the heir apparent. Fannon's another player that I drafted in one of my rookie only drafts over the weekend because I can see there being a path like they're going to run 12 this year. Is he going to be consistent from a fantasy standpoint? No. Are there going to be games where he's going to pop and people are going to be like, whoa, look at that. And then 2 weeks later, he does nothing. Like that's what this season is likely going to be. You're going to see some peaks and valleys. And I would probably guess there's more valleys because Njoku is a very good tight end. But if we're looking ahead to the future, there is certainly a world where Harold Fannon is the starting tight end for the Cleveland Browns in 2026.
One last question on Cleveland before we move on. Dylan Sampson right now being drafted as RB 37. Quinshon Judkins still has not signed, and we are here on August 25th. Did not participate in training camp at all. Wants, a fully guaranteed contract. Sampson actually ran ahead of Jerome Ford in their last preseason game. Got only a couple carries, but should Sampson be drafted over Quinshon Judkins right now?
No. And I talked to some of my Browns folks, and I mean, right now, the reason why Judkins is not signed has nothing to do with the legal stuff because it's gone. I mean, that's much ado about nothing at this point. It's about like they're in a standoff over like guarantees in the contract. So now
Well, I
this
think
is
it's
kind of a
because both
contract.
players ahead of him got fully guaranteed deals, and the guys behind him got fully guaranteed deals.
So that
I think the Browns are a little worried about that.
so that's exactly. So if people are saying, well, the Browns want to wait until, this process with the NFL plays out, from what I'm hearing, that's not the case. It's over guarantees in the contract for Judkins. And listen, at some point, he was what, the second pick in the second round? Like they drafted him over
one of those, yeah.
Trevion Henderson. I mean, they drafted him over some other, pretty good rookie running backs that were out there. And and this is why I keep getting him like round 8, round 9. I'm like, damn it, Marcus, I can't pass him. I mean, maybe it's going to be a complete disaster and I'm a doofus for doing it, but maybe I'm going to look good too at some point. The NFL season is long, right? It's not baseball, but it's long. I mean, we're talking about 17 games. And if I don't have him for the first 4 games, okay, I'll stash him on my bench and see what happens. But at some point, I would be shocked if Quinshon Judkins is not the Browns starting running back. I just would be shocked. And I think you're seeing that from dynasty players too, because Dylan Sampson is going far past Judkins. Judkins is basically at 69 based on ADP right now, and Sampson's at 113. And you and I have talked about Dylan Sampson's not a featured back.
No.
Like, he's not a featured back in the NFL. He's not. He's going to share the work with Jerome Ford. I don't care who's starting. They're both going to get burned until Judkins is ready to go.
All right, let's talk about some other backfields that we have some questions about coming out of the preseason, including the Washington Commanders. We will get to that next. This episode is brought to you by Yahoo Fantasy. The NFL season is right around the corner, and you can feel the buzz. Fantasy football season is here. Everyone's out researching, drafting, and building their championship squads. And if you haven't joined a league yet, now is the time, and it's all happening on Yahoo Fantasy. This year, I'm playing fantasy football on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran making your millionth league. And Yahoo Fantasy is loaded with fun ways to compete and brand new features to make the game even better. And with season kickoff on September 4th, now is the time to start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football, which offers so many fun ways to compete. And if you want more ways to play, try the new Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine League, where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated each week until there's only one team left standing. The NFL season kicks off on September 4th, so don't wait. Start your league now. Draft at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That is yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out the Locked On Fantasy Football Podcast with Vinny Iyer and Michelle Majuk. Listen every day to prep for your fantasy drafts and become the most informed manager so that you can take home your league's trophy this season. Find Locked On Fantasy Football on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. All right, Fabs, let's talk about some backfields that are a little bit up in the air. I want to start with Washington. They traded Brian Robinson Jr. to San Francisco, who we'll get to in a second. It's Austin Eckler. It's Chris Rodriguez. It is Bill Croskey-Meritt. Now, you got to make sure it's Bill, not Ja'Cory. Bill Croskey-Meritt. How are you handling this backfield from a dynasty perspective?
It is amazing how this thing kind of just changed. I remember Croskey-Meritt getting picked just because, you look at sort of, teams that make moves and you're like, okay. Well, I mean, he was a 7th round pick. There was a lot of sort of things behind the fact that he didn't go higher in the draft. I'm not going to get into all that, but he right now is the player that I'm targeting. He was a 2nd round pick in my rookie only draft. Actually, in both of them, he went in the 2nd round, and he didn't start the last preseason game, which to me means that he's a starter. His ADP right now is at RB 57 at 172. That should go up. I don't think Austin Eckler has a legitimate chance to be the starter. I think they like the role that he plays, that he's going to be the 3rd down back. Maybe he mixes in on some early downs. This is going to be a committee. So don't think that Croskey-Meritt's going to come in and be, I don't know, John Riggins. Okay. It's just not going to happen.
We should also mention that in the preseason game that he sat out, he was also spotted, I think 2 days before that, wearing a non-contact jersey at practice. So I bet it was a combination of like,
Could
this
be.
guy's going to have a role for us, and he's a little bit banged up right now.
Right. So like I wouldn't get nuts. Okay, even in redrafts, I've seen him getting picked. I mean, I've picked him in like I think the 8th round. And because I think at the end of the day, he'll lead the backfield in touches, but this will likely be a 3-headed backfield monster with Bill going first because Croskey-Meritt is too much of a mouthful. I just say Bill now. Austin Eckler probably second, and then Rodriguez mixing in as the third option. He doesn't even have an ADP, right? Rodriguez.
Well, and honestly, I was going to say for me, that's what I've been doing is just picking up in every league. We had in one of my dynasty leagues. He didn't get drafted in our rookie drafts, and our first round of waivers went through last week. And I think Croskey-Meritt went for like 90% of the fab budget.
Wow.
And Chris Rodriguez was just available after waivers, and I just scooped him up. And I honestly wonder if that's the play here. Like, we heard Dan Quinn say that Rodriguez is going to be the goal line back. Why not grab that guy, just stash him on the bottom of your roster and see what happens?
He's a young guy. In fact, I was out in Las Vegas over the weekend and last week, and I was in one of the FFWC drafts. Believe it or not, but Dean Kane was in my league. He wanted to play against me, which was, I thought, fun. And I drafted Bill and Rodriguez both. Nice. Because at that point I think Austin's going to play just a completely different role than those two guys. So if you can do that, this was a league with a lot of roster spots. We're talking 20 here. So if you can do that, it doesn't, make a whole lot of sense to grab one and try at least not to grab Rodriguez late because he's basically a free peg.
So one other backfield that we should mention is Brian Robinson Jr.'s new team, the San Francisco 49ers. You've got Christian McCaffrey, who everybody is saying he's in great shape. And then there's everybody else in this backfield. Isaiah Guerrero got hurt with a shoulder injury. He's been dealing with that. Jordan James is missing time with an injury. They traded for Brian Robinson Jr. And actually, when Matt and I recorded our show last week, one of the teams that I suggested, like, hey, if he's going to get traded, I'd like him to go to a team where he can be the primary backup and come in. And if that starter gets hurt, be an RB2, I think this is a good landing spot for Brian Robinson.
It is. You said if, I would say when. McCaffrey.
Hopefully that's not the case, but
so right. But I mean, listen. I'm just going, on historical data. I'm not rooting for it to happen, but I think this is another reason why people need to tap the damn brakes on McCaffrey. They're just in Dynasty. I mean, he's going too high. He's been going too high. Brian Robinson Jr. is a good running back. He's not great. He's averaging 4 yards per carry, something like that. Like, he's not great, but he's good. And if the 49ers have any chance at getting to the playoffs, forget the Super Bowl. I don't think they're there. Their offense has many question marks, Marcus. Many question marks. Outside of Ricky Pearsall, who the heck is going to play wide receiver?
Sky Moore.
I mean, we've heard Juwan Jennings is expected to be back in time for week 1 based on what I think it was Kyle Shanahan or John Lynch had said that, but I don't necessarily know if that's the truth or not. Maybe they're projecting. I don't know. They're hurting right now. Their offensive line has question marks. And the backfield is basically like Christian McCaffrey is their best weapon. Are they going to give him 25 touches a game at 29 years old, knowing that he's missed most of 3 of the last 5 years? No. So is there a world that Brian Robinson Jr. gets 8 touches a game? Maybe. I think there is. Because if the Niners want to play the long game, they don't want to punish this guy who's not durable early in the season. So I think McCaffrey's touches per game are going to go down compared to what we've seen in the past. I mean, he's still a featured back, don't get me wrong, but Brian Robinson Jr. is a good back. Again, not great, but he's a good back. And he's got a little something to prove too, because he's in a contract year. So when he gets out there, he's going to want to be able to perform. And this is a good system for any running back to perform. And by the way, I liked Guerrero before this trade. Now I'm out on Guerrero. Yeah, I'm all out. I'm out on Jordan James. I'm out on both of those guys. Because I also think the Niners are taking a look at maybe this guy ends up taking over for McCaffrey at some point. Who knows?
Or maybe it just becomes more of a committee. And like our guy Brian Peacock has suggested that as McCaffrey ages, he's going to become more of a slot receiver and more of a Debo type of guy, where they're still getting him his touches, but it's not the same way, like where you're going right up between the tackles. The last thing I just wanted to say here is we saw last year when Jordan Mason started, when Christian McCaffrey was out, Mason was putting up low-end RB1 numbers every single week. And I don't think there's a big talent gap between Brian Robinson Jr. and Jordan Mason. In fact, I think they're very similar runners.
I would agree.
If and when Robinson gets that opportunity, we're talking about somebody that's going to be extremely valuable in our fantasy league. So I think he's worth stashing on your roster.
He's a sleeper to me. He really is. Like, for everything that I've said about Garendo, and even though Garendo's, maybe a year younger, I mean, he's not significantly younger than Robinson Jr., but I just think that now that kind of like bleeds over into Robinson Jr., where like if McCaffrey gets hurt, you're telling me Brian Robinson Jr. can't be a high RB2 in a San Francisco offense? I think he can. He didn't get in Washington, like he was always sharing the workload. And if he gets a chance to be like that lead dude in San Francisco to a degree, then like he has some sleeper appeal. And I will say this, if I have McCaffrey, which I'm not going to get him because I don't want him, I got to get Robinson Jr. It's almost like, Kenny Walker. Yep. If I get Kenneth Walker, I just thought of the old basketball player. Remember Kenny Skywalker from the Knicks? Then I want Zach Charbonnet. If I get McCaffrey, I want Brian Robinson Jr. I need Brian Robinson Jr. just for peace of mind.
I agree. All right, that is it for today's show. We want to thank you for making Locked On Dynasty Football your first listen every single day. Follow Fabs on Twitter at Michael_Fabiano. I'm at Marcus_Mosher. Make sure you download the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out on YouTube as well. And we will see you guys right back here tomorrow.